So my general recommendation is don't delete unless you know the impact of what you're doing. So if you are newer to Kajabi, please resist deleting. And as an alternative, until you understand it, rename things so that it's really clear when you've got multiple versions. But when you delete a course, if no one is in the course, nothing will happen. It'll just be gone. So obviously I would have all of that information saved elsewhere. So let's just delete this course. Get ready to lead because I've heard that's crap. Sorry. Sorry. That was an inside joke. That's Eve's course.
There's no one in it.
There's no one. I made a fake course. So let's delete that one so we can see what happens. So if there's no one in it, it's really kind of easy. I click delete and it'll say, oh, you have 2 active cohorts. Okay. So, you know what? I'll just go and check. Hang on, we'll delete the evergreen course because that's probably I don't actually know what happens if you do delete a cohort. I'm imagining the same. So if we go delete, it'll say, are you sure? And it's going to say one offer will no longer include this course. So that means if you had an offer that is offering this course as one of its products, that will be removed from that offer. And if anyone had access to it, they will no longer see it. And it's now gone. I don't know if what was in there. I'm assuming nothing because I think we created that one day for fun. So that's gone. Ta-da! So now it's gone. What if you're like, I didn't mean to? Then you have to contact Kajabi support. You go, please help me. I deleted my course by accident. There's not a lot of safeguards. Hence why I'm like, please don't delete things unless you're pretty sure that you need to delete them. Because it and all the content and comments and anything associated with it is now deleted. So it only delete courses if there was no one in it, you needed the product space. But let's just say we had 2 versions of Get Ready to Lead because we had that. Oh, hang on, let's find another one where we did have. Have I got one where there's 2? Or let's just say this. Oh, here we've got Essentials for First Aid. We've got 2 of them, both evergreen. So let's just say that this one was the old, and which this one's old one has people in it, and this is the new one. So I would update the name of this just for myself. And one of the things that I've seen done really nicely, which I've started to do with some of my stuff, and you could say archive or something like that, like something just to indicate, or what did I see? I saw a really good wedding. I might have to come back and see what I saw as a not old, because old is kind of icky, because do bear in mind whatever you change this to, if you do have customers, they're going to see it. But the thing that I saw that was really cool, and I've started to do in my own, is have the thumbnail but gray it out, and then on the thumbnail say older course no longer supported or something along those lines, so that it's clear if there are 2 versions, or if this is something that people had access to, that it's like available in their library but it's no longer being supported. So that might be something that you can do. So adding some sort of word to it so that you know what it is. But if you do just want to get rid of it and you have got people in it and you delete it, they will no longer have access to it. It will be gone. It will not appear in their library. You delete it, which will free up the product. So if you are going to delete a course and people have access to it, personally, I think it's good business practice to give them a warning and say, hey, by the way, this course is going to be removed. One thing that you could do, depending on the course, is you could create an access group for it in the community and add the videos in under an access group since they're now free. I've seen people move their courses to like a Google Drive or something like that. And if you did move it into an access group as a kind of holding place, just so people still had access to the videos and the lesson content, you'd make each lesson like a post and then put it into an access group, and then just put a post up the top saying, hey, this course has now been retired, but here's where you can, still access everything, and then change the offer to add the access group in and remove the course and then delete it. So that's with courses. So the offers, I personally don't ever delete offers, ever. Like I draft offers because of that very reason, because if you delete the offer, you are deleting the financial transactions associated with the offer, as far as I know. So it's just saying that it is going to be removed from the offers. So it's giving this it's saying this will be removed, and it has 2 videos that are going to be deleted. So it's going to delete the content as well as the course. So we're going to delete this because why not? Because I have a ridiculous amount of fake courses in here. Hopefully I don't have anything that I'm like, oh, damn, why'd I do that? I would look at it first, obviously, and you can delete it. But the actual offers themselves, I will always resist deleting offers. So I tend to not delete a product unless I'm trying to free up product slots. And I would prefer to change the thumbnail to be kind of grayed out and have something in there because I think it's just an easy way to give people access to it forever rather than trying to get them to download and offload it. But if I did want to free up product slots, like I said, I'd probably make an access group for it since they're now unlimited. I don't love access groups as a way to have courses. However, if you're on limited number of products, I do think that it's a kind of nice alternative that makes it, more accessible. And then especially if Kajabi are going to bring in the option into communities that I've seen in their own, where it's like people can't comment on the post. It's just that inside the community, if you bring in too many lessons inside one access group, they can get all out of order because if someone comments, it could push the order of them around. So if we can do it so it's like that, you can turn commenting off on that and then have like a comment thread or something, like one post that's just for comments. But hopefully if it is an older course, it's just more that you want to have somewhere that people can access it, not that you want to stop them having access. But again, that comes back to that whole thing of how much access are you promising people? Are you promising lifetime? Are you promising, 12 months? Or, I've seen some people going, I'm going to give you at least 2 years access to this or something along those lines. Worst case scenario, if you leave Kajabi, you can put all your stuff on a Google Drive, or you can give them warning saying, hey, just so you know, this course is available. You are welcome to go and download everything if you want to. But yeah, once it's gone, they will no longer see it in their library. Offers, however, I do not like deleting offers. Offers are a hard no when it comes to deleting for me. Let's just say this sprint here, I did not want to have that showing up anymore. I would move it to draft. Then it's only going to show up in draft. It will still be there. All the information associated with it is still there. One thing I don't love about draft though is that when you are going currently, and this is one of my things in the ideas hub, to connect offers onto a button or something else like that. Like it's probably more of an issue for me because I've got like 6 years worth of offers and I also go a bit cray cray on the offers because I test things out. Is the list when you're going through a drop down can make it hard because you might have multiple versions. So that's where in an offer, I always use this internal title. So let's just say it's a 30-day sprint. I would add this to like do not use or something along those lines, or add some message to myself so that if I'm trying to link this from anywhere, I'll be like, that's the one I don't want to use. Or I'd put like archive or, like the date, like I might put January 2020, 2025 or something along those lines, old or like complete or something in capitals at the beginning so that it's very easy. Because if you put it at the end and you're trying to find it in a drop down, it will only show sort of the first certain amount. So if you don't want to be picking it out of a list, use that internal title, because also now that we've done it, the internal title is what is going to show up in so when we go to all of the offers, the internal title is what's going to show up in the list of offers. So see how this is the start. So we can easily see if we type in like, I don't know if I have another one, but let's just say we had 30-day. So I've got these different things, but I can see straight away if I had do not use or, old 2025 or old 2024 or something along those lines. If I did a search, because searches will bring up all offers, then having some kind of code to yourself at the beginning of the offer is going to help segregate them a little bit. If I had never sold anything, like this 30-day membership trial thing that I set up, 0 sold, that you can delete if you've never sold it. But again, make sure you only delete things that you'll never need, because sometimes it's like you've got great copy on that page, or you've got a setup that you're like, oh yeah, that was the one that I set up. So again, use that internal title so that it's like, don't delete or something like, good checkout or like, perfect automation flow or something, you know what I mean? Like where you've got something if you want to keep it. So if you've never sold any, I'm less stressed, but it's more that when you delete offers, then you are deleting information in the background that you don't see and you might not realize you need until later. So I'm always more nervous. And again, you could make it so that it's like archive till 2027. And then you could look up archive till 2027 in 2027 and go, hey, do I need it now? Like that's just me from a perspective of, sometimes it's like you might look back and go, oh, why did I do that? And if you draft it, at least, it's going to be off this page and it'll make this page less cluttered. You can have as many offers as you like. So just, like I said, for me personally, as someone who's done this with so many different businesses, I totally understand that you might be a minimalist. Please don't be a minimalist with important business and financial information. Draft it, change the name of it so you can kind of hide it away. But those kind of things aren't necessarily what you want to do. If you want to test stuff out, call it test so that it's very clear for you to see that that was a test when you're doing something for the first time. Just call it test. And then when you make the real one, like delete the test. 100% fine when you're learning how to do it if you've got zero soul. But yeah, just do bear in mind once that's deleted, it ain't coming back. But let's just say we are going to get rid of this. And I don't care about deleting stuff in here. I'm always much more conscious in my own site. This is my test site. So if I delete it, I'm probably okay. But then you can just come into here and delete, but it probably is going to come up. Yeah, so it's going to come up with a warning saying these products will be removed from the offer. That's not the biggest stress. It would be more if you had customers, because the customers will then won't have access to that offer. So let's delete it and it will be gone. But yeah, those red warning signs are there for a reason. Under offers are the things that I'm most kind of, I wouldn't say stressed about, but conscious of. Landing pages are the one thing we had cleaned up during the went from 650 pages down to 300, I think, something like that. The main thing that I did with those is I changed pages that I knew that I didn't want to draft. After checking that the pages weren't linked, if they were like 4 versions of the same page, like I think we have like 10 versions of our homepage now after 6 years, then I make sure that I forward them to the new page. And so if I forward them to a new page, I will leave them as published because you still want them to be live, but I will go into the name of the page. So edit details. So in these ones that we've redirected, I've actually put redirected. So I know that if it's published, and so we've added a redirect link on the code, like of the old homepage to the new homepage, or the old sales page of something, or I had some like an old offer, like my old Unicorn Heroes offers, and redirecting to Kajabi 101 Quick Start. So there are some pages where I've redirected and I've put the word redirected in there. So it's really easy to find. I'm pretty sure because we had so many, I actually put redirected to whatever I redirected it, just to make it easier when I'm trying to find which page, because this title here is an internal title. Again, I'm going to give you one other thing. This is your external title if you don't have anything under the page title. So if you have something, I'm just going to put this random thing here. So if this page title is here, it will override on what customers see this. So if you're going to change your page to be called redirected, it will show up in the tab unless you put something in here as well. So even if in this page title here, just do make sure if you're going to do this strategy that you make sure you've got a page title down there of the same thing. So I'll just put planner. So I'll just put the same thing. I mean, I would personally make that a better SEO title. And so then this title becomes your internal title if you've got a title here. So this is client facing. This is client facing if there's nothing here, and if there is something here, that's internal. So that's one way that you can do it if you want to keep it published and redirected. If you just want to delete the page, do bear in mind that any links to that URL are also going to disappear. So if you're deleting pages, I would make sure that you optimize your 404 page a little bit. So redirect code. So these ones I've kept published. So I've added outdated to that, or I've added like old or whatever it is, and I've added the word redirected. Now on this, There's a little custom code. So if you add a code block, obviously this is my URL, you replace it with your URL of where you want this to go to. So here, this part here, this is the bit that's got my URL. You just put the URL of the page that you want this to go to. So sometimes I'll use this if I have a checkout. You know how the checkout links are a bit ugly? I'll make a landing page that has nothing really on it, and then the redirect link will be the checkout. So if you add a custom code block to that page with this little bit of information, it's going to redirect that page to wherever you want it to go to. And that can just be, this is just a custom code section that I've added. So if you go to this page, it's going to redirect. But what this is showing, just something to bear in mind, this is the new page. If you have this custom code block showing and not hidden, so if I hide this for a second and save it, then it's going to bring up this actually. So you can't edit the page whilst you've got a redirect on. Just bear in mind, like what it's going to show you as a preview is where it's ending up whilst this custom code section is live. And it might just take a little minute. So I'm going to just show it. Just add that as a section or a block. Add like a custom code section, and then you'll get the custom code block, and then just add that code in with where you want the page to go to. But you do have to keep the original page published for that to work. If you don't want that to be seen, you can just put your pages to draft, and you can actually filter pages by published and draft. So if you have a heap of draft pages, so I've put the word redirect or redirected in so that I can see all these pages that I've, so you've got like homepage, like home, old homepage, like another homepage. So I've redirected all those once because what I found is they were all like hanging out in Google, and people were like going to these old pages like, why is that? And I was like, oh, because I never, redirected it or whatever. So that's for redirecting like an old version to a new version of a page. If you want to just delete it, you can, but you can just for the meantime, just so let's have a look. So I think we have something like and about 676 pages, which is kind of ridiculous. But if I go in here and just filter just by published, because I drafted a heap of pages, then I can just see 350. So I've got rid of half of them. So I have drafted a heap, but I still have a lot. But the reason I have so many pages is because we have Kajabi templates. So every template collection has like 18 pages times 12 templates. So that's one of the reasons why I've got so many, plus 6 years of content. However, in the Ideas Hub, when it's done, someone has requested an option, and I've keenly upvoted. I wish I could upvote more than once for you to be able to bulk delete. So if I was going to bulk delete, I would turn that filter to draft and go back through all those old rando pages that are drafted, the test, old, like outdated pages that I'm not using anymore. And I would love if we could like check them and delete multiple pages as one, because some of these, the only reason these dates are updated is because I've recently updated them, but there's a lot of ones that are very, very like test random pages, etc. So I could just go one by one, but there's what in here like 326. I'm not going to one by one. I don't care enough. I'll just leave them as draft and just filter by published if I need to. Also, just try to make sure that you are using good naming conventions so that it's easy when you do want to search. So like I might just do Kajabi 101, for example. So that's going to bring up all the pages that are associated. I don't know why it's bringing up new homepage, but it's going to bring up, so when you have got pages that are related to that product, like naming all of them the same, like getting a naming convention for the thank you page, for the sales page, for the any other related pages, means that when you can do a search, you'll be able to just bring them up. So you can delete, but again, I prefer to draft and hide, because if you wanted to come back to that, like let's just say you were starting a new product from scratch and you already made a sales page, like this business 101, I probably wouldn't because that's a little bit old, but let's just say I wanted to use that page as a base again. And I was like, well, I like that template and I had good images and I like that general thing. I'm going to change all the copy. You can duplicate that page. So you're not starting from scratch every time, even though you may not be using this literal page. So, just, I err on the side of caution with pages. But one thing I would suggest in your website page is to go to your 404 page if you're going to start deleting stuff, um, and make sure that this is updated. So this is an example of, what we did, where we've put our resources on here as well as sort of giving people links, because the default 404 page is just going to be like, oh no, you've lost your page, go back home. So this would just be a suggestion. So if by chance you delete something and you're like, or you've got like, one of the reasons I'm a little cautious of deleting is that I got into Pinterest for a while. I still get a lot of traffic from Pinterest from stuff that I did in like 2019 and 2020. Maybe it's not heaps relevant anymore, but when I started deleting stuff, like at least now it's going to land here where people could see things, that they might be more interested in rather than nothing, so that you can pick some resources that you want to direct people to, not just have, oh, you didn't reach that page. To try and make sure that you've got a menu on your 404 page as well, would be my suggestion. And if you aren't using a menu on your website, do a manual block. Like you can build this page out to have whatever different section, like you can add any sections to this 404 page. So that's just something that I would recommend with pages. One thing not to be scared of deleting though is funnels. Funnels you can delete away, because funnels, when you delete them, you aren't deleting anything except the glue that holds things together. The only exception that I would say to that, though, is if you are giving people the link to the funnel itself, because this link here, see this link, this opt-in 5 to FE4, blah, 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 blah. If you've given someone that actual funnel link, then that will stop working. The page itself won't, which is also another reason why, if I'm using funnels, I prefer to give people not the funnel link, but the actual link under edit details to this page. And also I like to change so it's not called opt-in F29FE777 because that's very hard to say. Oh yeah, go to this link, and it's a bit ugly because the links that are created are going to be ugly. And also when you create funnels, you've got pages that just say opt-in, thank you, sales page, like not actual helpful titles. So again, I would make that, name of offer opt-in, not just opt-in, maybe even add the date in there. But these actual pages in here, so this link, so see how it's got PL21847, that's the funnel link. So if you've given the funnel link out, it will break. But if you've given the link out to the page within the funnel, no problem. It's the only thing that will break. All these things in here, when you delete, it looks so scary when you go to delete. Like delete, you might be like, do I, like, it can't be undone. It could be, you could just put everything back in. What it's going to do when you delete is just take those things out to where they live. So instead of accessing the pages from your funnel, they will now be available under landing pages. So if you come into landing pages, instead of those pages, so this here, oops, actually no, it hasn't. It'll be on here somewhere. It's here, opt-in and thank you. So it's pulled them out to your funnel pages, to your landing pages, not in funnels. So when it's in funnel pages, they just live in funnels in a little folder with name of funnel. But when you delete the funnel, it just puts the pages back into landing pages. The email sequence lives in email sequences. The form lives in form. The offers live, like all the things live where they normally live. Deleting the funnel just means that they're not accessible via the funnel section. So delete funnels as much as you like. It won't impact anything unless you've given that link out. Contacts is another thing that some people like to clean up their contacts. Again, I prefer to just leave them in there. There's no limit to contacts. It's not hurting you in any way. Let's just say John Doe unsubscribed and then a year later John Doe resubscribes. What if I wanted to do something with that information? What if I'm like, oh, would you look at that? John Doe did, have access to such and such a product in the past, and they have signed up to things in the past. It will just show them as resubscribed, but you'll still have all their history. So I don't personally like deleting customer history. I would actually be curious if I saw a pattern where I'm seeing a lot of people that had stuff in the past and they've come back. But again, you can't get that information if you delete it. So I personally see absolutely no value to deleting, and I don't understand why people like to do it, because you delete the contact and you delete their history, their financial history, their opt-in history, all of that will be gone. And if you don't want to see unsubscribed people, you can just click subscribe and they'll be hidden. So ta-da! Like then you'll see who is currently subscribed. Not every single customer ever, but it's like in accounting where, you don't delete entries from accounting. You do something, to kind of cross-reference it rather than just delete from an auditing perspective. Basically, don't delete unless you really need to. Rename things. Oh, forms is another one if you get forms. So forms, unless I know there is no subscriber ever and that form is not on any page. Like, one of the challenges is I don't know when I go to this if this form is on a page somewhere. In fact, if I remember, I'm going to put that as a thing in the Kajabi ideas. Because if I did know that it was on no page and no one had ever signed up for it, I would probably be like, oh, well, I can delete it. But what if this is on a page? Because what will then happen is that's going to be broken on the page. There's going to be an empty kind of box if I forgot. And that's one of the challenges too, I think, is that you're like, I created all these things and I don't know where they currently live and what's what. Firstly, I would, try to figure it out. But this is where no one sees this internal title. So you could even put on like homepage, like, so you know which one is which if you've got just, forms in a different place. Or you could put like all over the site, or do not use, like if you don't want to use it, old, like prior to December 2025 or whatever it is. Use this internal title and put things at the beginning, because sometimes in the drop down list where you are connecting it, it will ... and you'll be like, you'll have 3 digital planner masteries and you're like, oh, which one is it? So I would prefer, unless you 100% knew that form wasn't on any page anywhere and had no one sign up for it, not to delete forms, because you will delete the submissions that go alongside it. So this one, no form submissions. Like I said, I'm going to put something in to be like, oh, that's probably a good thing to know. Like, where is this form linked? So you knew which pages, but there's nothing, you don't know what pages you may or may not have put this on. And if you delete it and it's on that page, then it's just going to be like a missing section on that page. I also would make sure that you are sending yourself an email. So one of the things that like you've got the send a notification to your team, because then you'll see if someone's signing up. So I've got an old form on an old page and someone signed up for it. And then I was like, why is someone signed up for that form? That was from 2020. Like, where is that page still showing? Because if you're not getting a notification, you don't know that someone's signing up. So I would just always recommend to send notifications to yourself here. Just put your own email address in, because that way, and again, the better you name this internal title, that name is going to come up in that email. So it's going to be like, Eve just signed up for the Digital Planner Mastery waitlist. And if you date it, let's just say this says 2022, you'll be like, oh, why is that? So, that's just another tip. And if you want to have do not use or something like that, like I would only delete forms if you, like I said, 100% sure it's not being used anywhere. If you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's somewhere, please don't delete it, but make sure you're getting a notification so you know if someone signs up. Ideally, being like, it is nice to be able to track it, but when you are playing around in the beginning, like, I mean, go and have a look at my forms. This is obviously my partner, but I have heaps, and these are probably not even named very well because they are just playing around. But when you've got this many forms, like, like I've tried to sort of make some of them have codes so I can sort of show like an option. This is where I'm adding, forms to different pages that are the same sort of thing. But definitely, like, this would be hard. You would probably, if you saw this, would just be like, huh, this that's horrible. But that's where, if you delete it, it's gone. And if there was anything, then you can't get it back. So if you delete a form that has already got submissions, then that will no longer come up in your filters. If you filter by submissions, you won't know who ever signed up for that. They were, if they were already in an email sequence and there was an automation to subscribe to sequence, they'll still keep getting it, but you won't know how they got there. So this is one of those things where it's a little cloudier. So I would, ideally not. And I would use this title that no one sees to make things super clear for yourself. Like go through, you can go through, think, and click not needed. And then if you get an email notification from a form that says not needed, you'll be like, okay, maybe I do need it. That might be a nice little backup. But yeah, that's my suggestion. These ones here where it's literally a test, where I've gone and made things that are tests and I know it was a test, you can go and delete that sort of stuff. But when you've created forms and you're like, I'm not sure where that form is, if you think I'm not sure, don't delete. You can put not sure where this is in your title, and then if you get a notification. So I think that's all of them. But if you do have other questions about deleting things, I would just, if you're ever not sure, err on the side of don't delete rather than delete is my just golden rule. Name things better if you want them to be organized so they at least can be grouped.